From a group of backpackers in Guatemala that scaled a volcano right as it began to erupt, and a tour boat in Indonesia that almost got hit with car-sized lava bombs, to an eruption at La Soufriere that left this Caribbean island unrecognizable, and a massive explosion on Mount Etna that sent ash plumes thousands of feet into the air. Here are some of the scariest volcano moments caught on camera. Santa Maria is an active stratovolcano in the western highlands of Guatemala. Before the Spanish arrived in the 16th century, the local Quichua people called it Gagkunal, which we believe means naked volcano or mountain. On February 9th of 2016, a group of backpackers decided to risk their lives and climb the active volcano. Now, scaling the side of a volcano is no easy task. According to reviews on TripAdvisor, Santa Maria is one of the hardest you can choose. But that wasn't about to stop these guys who were about to have a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Holy
You can see from here.
Can you see it?
Yeah, you can see.
Is it easy?
Holy oh. Check that wood, I'm scared, but I'm excited at the same time. Just sitting here waiting for the volcano to erupt in our face. Erupt up real close and personal. I'm just doing a bit of commentary, mate. Yeah, I'm proud we did it. We're going to cop a mouthful of hot ash very shortly. We've just got to hang in there.
Wow. I felt it.
Holy brother! Damn! That's awesome, man. I didn't even get it. It's like rocks. Oh. Did you get it? Yeah. Hell, that was awesome. That's wicked.
These backpackers need a quick lesson in self-preservation. When you have to turn and run from an erupting volcano, it probably means you're too close. At one point, our cameraman even gets pelted with tiny rocks as they fall from the sky. Now, as dangerous as it was, you can't deny that picturesque view. Just look at all those steep sides. It's no wonder Santa Maria is among the hardest volcanoes to climb. Now, if you are planning a volcano hike, keep your eye out for smoking vents like this one. They tend to erupt alongside the main crater. Then, as our cameraman so poetically puts it, you have 1,000-foot drop-offs into the abyss you need to worry about. In the summer of 1883, Krakatoa became one of the most catastrophic volcanic eruptions ever recorded. The famous volcano, which can be found in the middle of the Sunda Strait between Indonesia's two largest islands, used to sit on its own private patch of land. But that tiny island disappeared overnight. Over the next 100 years, a series of underwater eruptions gave rise to a new volcano, Anak Krakatoa, which translates to Child of Krakatoa. Today, thrill-seekers like Matthew Davidson of New Zealand flock to the area to see baby Krakatoa in all its glory. Unfortunately for Matt, he picked the wrong weekend to visit.
Oh!
If Matt had been paying attention, he'd have known that Anak Krakatoa had entered a new eruptive phase in June of 2018. Still, nobody thought they'd be dodging lava bombs as big as cars. Luckily, the group's captain kicked their boat into high gear and raced out of there before they got hit. It wasn't until Matt heard loud splashes that he knew they were in danger. If one of those lava bombs hit their boat, it would have blown it to pieces. Matt's lucky he didn't wait 2 more months to take his trip. In December of 2018, a similar eruption caused one of Anak Krakatoa's flanks to collapse. It triggered a massive tsunami that devastated the Indonesian coast. Today, scientists are worried that Anak Krakatoa will erupt again, but it's not the explosion they're concerned about. It's the possible tsunamis and lack of mainland warning systems. Mount Yasser is an active stratovolcano sitting on the southeastern tip of Tanna Island in the Republic of Vanuatu. Now, if you're not sure where that is, it's an island nation between Fiji and the Solomon Islands in the South Pacific Ocean. It stands 1,200 feet tall and has a nearly circular 1,300-foot wide summit crater. According to the Smithsonian, Mount Yasser has been erupting since Captain Cook observed ash plumes in 1774. That's why it attracts volcano enthusiasts from around the world. Mount Yasser is among your best bets if you want to see one erupt. On July 16th of 2017, 2 enthusiasts got the inside scoop that Yasser was about to blow. They hurried to set up their GoPro near the crater. Unfortunately, they got a little too close. It's fair to say that they didn't expect the volcano to erupt when it did, sending massive lava bombs hurling through the air. Thankfully, none of them came too close to hitting either of the men. A few years later, on September 9th of 2019, another group captured a stunning eruption in the middle of the night. Who knew the close-up sound of an erupting volcano could be so satisfying? These volcano fans may have gotten amazing footage, but that doesn't mean they weren't in danger. Around that time, the entire area was on volcanic alert level 2. That meant nobody was supposed to be within 1,300 feet of the volcano. But if you want this kind of footage, sometimes you have to break a few rules. Kamchatka Krai is a peninsula state in the far eastern region of Russia. It's home to about 290,000 people, an ancient Russian language, and one of the motherland's most active volcanoes. Mount Shivaluch is a 10,000-foot stratovolcano. It's among the most active during the Holocene period, the geological epoch we're currently living in. The Holocene covers the period between 11,700 years ago and today. During it, Mount Shivaluch has had 60 major eruptions. The last major eruption occurred in April of 2023, when Shivaluch ejected a 12-mile plume of volcanic ash and gas. It spanned an area of 42,000 square miles and basically turned day into night. Several locals recorded the moment when Shivaluch blocked out the sun and covered their towns in a thick coat of ash. For the record, this isn't snow. Those living in the local villages of Kliuchi and Kozyrevsk were buried in up to 9 centimeters of ash. It piled up on roads, roofs, cars, and power lines. If you were passing by, you'd think you were walking through a winter wonderland. The eruption also triggered a code red for aviation danger, meaning flights in the vicinity had to be diverted or canceled. Volcanologists have had their eyes on Shivaluch since mid-2022, when they noticed the lava dome was incredibly unstable. It finally blew about a year later on April 11th. It wasn't the only eruption either. On April 12th, multiple other summit explosions followed, sending another ash plume 6 miles into the air. Combined, they triggered the region's largest ash fall in 60 years. The name Shivaluch translates to the Smoking Mountain in the indigenous language of Itelmen. As of 2010, there were only 82 native speakers left in Russia, most of them elderly. The local population is trying to revive the language, but most just speak Russian today. No Italian vacation would be complete without visiting Mount Etna on the east coast of Sicily. The 11,000-foot stratovolcano is among the tallest active volcanoes in Europe. It's also the highest peak in Italy south of the Alps. Etna sits on the convergence of the African and Eurasian plates, meaning it's prone to large and frequent eruptions. Etna has been in a constant state of eruption since September of 2013. But that's not to say it's spewing lava 24/7. Instead, the mountain goes through peaks and valleys. One of those peaks occurred on July 27th of 2019. Several people were hiking on the mountain when the volcano suddenly awoke. Quickly, they took out their cameras and captured this. According to reports, the ash plume stretched about 3 miles into the air. It came after a few days of relative calmness on Etna. A thin layer of ash fell on local communities, but nothing too dangerous. Only 78 people live within 3 miles of Etna's base. But a more violent eruption could have major consequences. That's because over 3 million people live within 60 miles of the Italian mountain. The cool thing about Etna is that it's among the world's longest documented records of volcanism. People have been tracking her since ancient Greek and Roman times. Vulcan, the Roman god of blacksmithing, is said to keep his forge under Mount Etna. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is an island nation off the northeastern coast of Venezuela. It consists of one main island, St. Vincent, and 32 smaller islands, the Grenadines. The main island is home to about 100,000 people and a 4,000-foot stratovolcano called La Soufriere. Now, even though it's the youngest volcano on the island, La Soufriere has packed a punch over the years. Since 1718, it's experienced 5 catastrophic eruptions. The most recent occurred between 2020 and 2021. Volcanologists were on high alert in December of 2020. La Soufriere was showing dangerous signs, moving from an effusive state to an explosive state. It's not totally clear why volcanoes do this, according to National Geographic, but it can happen without warning. When it does, scientists pay close attention. The lava dome continued growing through the winter. Then, in late March, several earthquakes shook the volcano. A second, more intense earthquake swarm struck in early April. These kinds of tremors are called volcanotectonic earthquakes, or VTs. They're associated with magma forcing its way through the ground beneath the volcano. Any volcanologist will tell you that VT earthquakes are usually followed by bad news. On April 9th, a massive explosion rocked the summit. An ash plume ascended 6 miles into the air and rained onto the communities below. About 20,000 people were living in the so-called red zone. Getting them out in time was no easy task. When it was over, they hardly recognized their once beautiful island. Before the eruption, St. Vincent and the Grenadines was a Caribbean paradise. Lush trees, crisp blue water, it's the kind of place you'd never want to leave. After the eruption, it looked more like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. On top of their homes being covered in ash, the locals were also dealing with the COVID-19 crisis. They had to find somewhere to shelter evacuees while keeping them safe and hygienic. The eruption was rated as a 4 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index. That puts it on par with the 2020 Tal volcano eruption and the 2021 eruption at Mount Semeru. Mount Bromo is an active Soma volcano in East Java, Indonesia. Soma volcanoes are volcanic calderas partially filled with a new central cone. The best example is Mount Soma in southern Italy, where the cone of Mount Vesuvius grew over the years. It's basically a volcano within a volcano. The Bromo area is teeming with tourists. The name comes from the Javanese pronunciation of Brahma, the creation god in Hinduism. Clearly, ancient Indonesians thought very highly of this volcano. In fact, Javanese Hindus will worship Ganesha, the god of wisdom, at the mouth of the crater. Those visiting the area in 2016 were in for a show when Mount Bromo erupted. In fact, 2016 was a pretty active year for Bromo in general. Every year, the local Tenggirese people perform a risky religious ceremony. They climb to the top of Mount Bromo's crater with offerings including goats, chickens, and vegetables. Then, they sacrifice these offerings to the Hindu gods. When Bromo began erupting in 2016, the government told the people to stay at least 1 kilometer from the crater. Nobody listened. They scaled the slope, believing the holy volcano wouldn't harm them. Then, they stood on the rim and made their offerings. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching and be sure to tune in next time.